Okay. So in the last class, so we have finished the internet routing, right? So what are the things that we have seen in case of internet routing? So one is routing information protocol, that is RIP protocol we have seen. Open shortest path first, OSPF we have seen. So these two are interior gateway protocols. And then one exterior gateway protocol also we have seen, that is border gateway protocol, right? So these things we have seen. Then next few topics like multicasting. So that is one thing that is pending. So I will complete. I will take that. I think tomorrow after completing this. So today we will see three protocols. One is DHCP, and another one is NAT. Another one is NAT, and the third one is it is not a protocol. It is actually mobile routing, mobile IP, right? So these are the three things that I have planned. Right. So multicast routing, so I will take it up later. Right. So any doubts you have regarding this internet routing? So RIP protocol, OSPF protocol, and BGP protocol, right? So these are the three things that are part of internet routing, right? So now we'll start with DHCP. Now DHCP, I think this term you have heard it. Okay, I think quite often you keep hearing that. So dynamic host configuration protocol. So can anybody tell me what actually it is? What actually it does? Yes, what actually it does? No, many of you know it. Okay, I'm sure. Yes, anybody? What actually it does? Dynamic host configuration protocol. What actually it does? Yes, I'm waiting for your answer. Most of you know it. Arpita, hello, hello. Anybody? What actually it does? I'm waiting for your answer. Akshay, Abhishek. Hmm? What actually DHCP does? Arpita, yes? Nobody knows, or you don't want to answer? Aishwarya?
Yes,
Yes. Huh. What actually DHCP does?
I'm not sure, sir.
Whatever you know, you just tell me. DHCP, I heard it before. Yes or no, Aishwarya?
Yes, sir.
Then what it does? Okay,
I don't know, sir.
you don't know. Okay, fine. No, this dynamic, see, normally for any host, okay, for any host, so whether it is in a LAN or a WAN, whatever it is, in order to communicate, it requires IP address, right? It requires IP address. Now, suppose, assume that, please hear it, listen it carefully. Assume that you have 10 machines in your laboratory. So what you can do is you can manually configure them. Configure in the sense you can assign IP address, right? You can assign IP address for 10 machines. Assume that you have 50 machines, 50 machines in the lab. So you can manually assign IP addresses to them, right? But suppose you have thousands of machines, okay? Assume that you have got thousands of machines. Then how can you, is it possible to go to each and every machine and assign IP address to it? So that is very, very difficult. That is very, very difficult. Okay. So this dynamic host configuration protocol, what it does is it assigns IP addresses dynamically. to each of those 1,000 machines. Are you getting my point? Right? So the network administrator need not manually give IP address for each and every machine. Right? So this dynamic host configuration protocol, what it does is it assigns temporary IP addresses. It assigns temporary IP addresses to the hosts, right? So whatever the address that is assigned, see, assume that you have 1,000 machines. So for all 1,000 machines you want to assign because you want to connect them into the internet, okay, network, right? So for that you need to assign IP addresses to them, right? So manually assigning IP addresses to 1,000 machines, that is a tedious task, right? So what this TCP protocol does is it assigns temporary IP address. It assigns temporary IP address, right? So that whatever the address that is assigned, it is a temporary one. So then it has to renew it. Okay, the host has to get that IP address renewed because it wants to continue the same IP address. So it has to renew it, right? Okay, so it allows ISP, Internet Service Provider, to maximize usage of their limited IP addresses, right? So this IP address, one more thing you remember. So there is a distinction between public IP address and private IP address. Anybody knows? What do you mean? What is the difference between public IP address and private IP address? Anybody knows it?
Sir, private will be static and public will be dynamic.
No, not exactly. Not exactly. Yes, any other answer?
So the public address is usually given by the public service provider and companies, and whereas the private IP address is used within the network, sir.
Within the network in the sense what?
Uh, uh, like um, like a private with a group of members in a private network where they have to communicate, like that stuff. So like I'm not sure, but I thought I
See,
give it a try.
correct. Okay, one way you are right, but the thing is, so public IP address is what is visible to the public, entire world, right? Public IP address is the IP address that is visible to the outside world. So these private IP addresses, they are not visible to the outside world. They are not visible to the outside world, right? So these private IP addresses are assigned to the hosts for the local management, for the local management. Okay. So it doesn't mean that they cannot communicate with the outside world, but still they can communicate. They can still communicate with the outside world. So what happens is the host with the private IP addresses, if they want to communicate with the outside world, so what they will do is, so their private IP addresses are mapped to the public IP addresses, then they will be able to communicate. So that process is called as NATing. We will see that next, right? So this private IP addresses are assigned private. So this DHCP, it is normally used for assigning private IP addresses. It is normally used for assigning private IP. Of course, it is also used for assigning public IP addresses. But most of the times, suppose in an organization, let us say in our SDM college only, so we have purchased 1,000 machines. So now we want to assign IP addresses for them. So is it possible to assign 1,000 public IP addresses to them? So is it possible to assign 1,000 IP addresses to public IP addresses to all the 1,000 machines? No, it is not so. See, for the entire institute, so we may have at the max 10 or 15 IP addresses, 10 or 15 public IP addresses. So these 10 or 15 public IP addresses must be shared among the entire organization, right? So, but still, without public IP address, every machine is able to communicate with the outside world. So, how is it possible? Because every private IP address, it is mapped to the public IP address, and then the request goes to the outside world. So that process is called as NATing. We'll see it next, right? Okay. So what I meant to say is, so this DHCP, using this DHCP, so all the machines in an organization, okay, so they can be given temporary IP address, right? temporary IP address. Is it clear? So that means it relieves the, what you can say, the burden on the network administrator to manually configure the host, right? So this is what is called as now earlier. So there was a protocol which is called as BOOTP protocol. Okay, BOOTP protocol. So this allows, okay, it was used for diskless nodes. So diskless workstations to be remotely booted up, So assume that you have Linux network wherein you have got diskless nodes, okay, dumb terminals. So these terminals are booted from a remote server. They are booted from a remote server. Okay, so that server is going to assign IP addresses for these diskless nodes. Okay, so are you getting my point? Okay, so the server, so these diskless nodes, so they are going to be booted from a remote server. So and that remote server only used to assign IP addresses for these diskless nodes. Okay. So so that was the protocol. So this BOOTP protocol, so it was the next version of this BOOTP protocol is DHCP protocol. Okay, so this DHCP protocol, so it works at application layer. Please remember this. Okay, this works at application layer. So it is also again client server model. Okay, it works on the basis of client server model. So there is a DHCP server. There is a DHCP server. So your host machine will be DHCP client machine. So now one more thing, let me tell you. Now, so nowadays, so with this wireless, what you can say, network being, all the devices may be connected to wireless network. Maybe your TV is connected to wireless network, your laptop is connected to wireless network, and your mobile is connected to wireless network. Is it not? Yes. So how the IP addresses are assigned to these devices? Anybody? Yes. How the IP addresses are assigned to the different devices that you are using. Maybe TV, it is wireless TV, smart TV. So you have your laptop, right? You have your desktop machine, okay? You have your mobile, okay? Mobile or a tablet, okay? So all these IP addresses, if they fall under one wireless network, right? So they have been assigned IP addresses. So how the IP addresses are assigned to them? Anybody? Yes, anybody? I'm waiting for your answer. Can you try? Because all these devices, so they fall under the same wireless network. Suppose you have got, assume that you have, maybe you are having Airtel network or a Geo network or whatever it is, right? So there is one router, okay, or you can call it as a modem, right? So that, that acts as your DHCP server. That acts as your DHCP server, right? So the DHCP server, it is responsible for assigning IP addresses. See, now what happens is, see, whenever you connect to a wireless, this one, okay, so suppose wireless network. So then what happens? So automatically the IP address is assigned. IP address is assigned to dynamic IP address is assigned to your mobile device. Is it clear? So there is, so your machine, your host machine, it becomes a DHCP client, and the modem, okay, or a router, so that acts as a DHCP server. That is a DHCP server. Is it clear? Is it clear? See, and one more thing is, see, this client uses port number 68, and the server, it uses 67, right? As a client, so I will be using, so because I want to know my IP address, okay? So I will be using this port number 68. So port number 67, that's what is used by DHCP server. Is it clear? Yes? Tell me, any doubts in this? Yes?
No,
Please
sir, it is
respond.
clear.
Okay, fine. Now, So the next thing is how the IP addresses are assigned. How the IP addresses are assigned. See the host, okay, the host means client, you remember. So the host broadcasts DHCP discover. See there is what you can say a method. So that is called as DORA method. Okay, DORA in the sense discover, offer, request, discover, offer, request, acknowledge, right? So DORA, it is a common term. Okay, so DORA is used by DHCP so to assign IP addresses to the client machines, right? So what happens in case of DORA? D is discover. So host broadcast DHCP discover. Okay, host in the sense, suppose I am the client machine. So if I want to know my IP address, okay, what I will do? I will broadcast DH discover. Why I will broadcast? Because I don't know the address of DHCP server. I don't know the address of DHCP server, so that is why I will just broadcast. I will just broadcast. Okay, wherever is the DHCP server, okay, so it will receive it and then it will respond. Okay, is it clear? So that is why broadcasting is used. So DHCP client will send a DHCP discover, will broadcast a DHCP discover message on its physical network, right? So now the server in the sense DHCP server replies with offer message. Now what happens whenever please remember whenever DHCP client broadcasts a discover message, so that message contains what? That message contains what? Whether it contains IP address? No. What it contains? It contains the physical address of the client machine. It contains the physical address of the client machine. Please remember that, right? Okay, now the server, after receiving that discover message, so what it does is it sends offer message. It sends offer message. This is my offer, it says. Okay, that offer message contains the IP address plus other configuration information. Okay, so that also contains the IP address of the server also. Okay, is it clear? Right? Okay. Now what client does? So now client knows the IP address of the DHCP server, but it is so it can do one-to-one communication, but still it broadcasts. So now client selects the offer, okay, selects this offer and broadcasts DHCP request message. Okay, so it is as if requesting for the establishment of connection. Okay, DHCP request message. Okay, so it is acceptance. Now server allocates IP address, okay, and for a lease time T. So it is DORA, please remember D. So D, so for this, so the DHCP client sends discover message, okay, for discovering the DHCP server. So the server, after receiving the discover message, it sends an offer. So now, so that offer, it accepts it. Okay, it sends. So it means, so now this is the IP address that I have chosen. Please accept my request. Okay. So now the server, DHCP server. So this is also broadcast message. Okay. Now the server accepts it. Okay, and sends an acknowledgement, and that, so whatever the IP address that is allocated, it is for a lease time, it is for a particular lease period. Okay, just as you purchase a house for some lease time, so it is same thing. Okay, so for a given amount of time T, so that IP address is available for that particular client. Okay, is that clear? Is it clear? See now, and one more thing is, so this time, for this entire duration, that IP address, it is available for the client. After this time, so that IP address is taken away. It is again taken away because it is only for the lease time. Okay. So now, in case the client wants to continue with the same IP address, so it has to renew it. Right? So that's what. See now the sends DHCP acknowledgement machine with time threshold time. So after T1 and T2. Okay. So these are the time. So after T1, it attempts to renew lease by sending DHCP request. So the client after time duration T1, that means half the time. Okay, half the lease time. After T1, so the client sends a DHCP request. So to renew the lease. Now, even after this time T, if there is no request, so then automatically, if the host doesn't want to renew it, so the client will relinquish the IP address. It will leave the IP address so that the DHCP server can assign the same IP address to other machines. Yes, is it clear? Now, one more thing I will tell you. So whether these IP addresses, you have to tell me whether these IP addresses that are assigned, so private IP addresses I mean, okay. So suppose assume that in our college, so we have private IP addresses like 192.168.10.2, 10.3, 10.4 like that. Okay. So now in some other college, is it possible for them to have the same IP addresses 192.168.10.2? So can any host machine in some other college can have the same IP address? Is it possible or not?
Possible.
Oh, it's possible. Okay, good. See, it is like this. Now, in our college, so you have roll number. Okay, or let us say in the hotel. So you have room numbers 101, 102, 103, 104 like that, right? So in some other hotel, another again same set of room numbers may be there. It is same as that. Okay, it is same as that because all these are private IP addresses. Whatever the IP addresses that are assigned by DHCP server, okay, to the host machines in our college, so they are private IP addresses. Okay, they are not public IP addresses. Okay, so, but as if it is a public IP address, the public IP address has to be unique. Okay, public IP address has to be unique. So any other machine cannot have the same IP address, right? But since these are private IP addresses, the same IP address you can find in other networks, right? Is it clear? Yes, is it clear?
Yes,
Same set of IP addresses can be there in some other network. Okay, these private IP addresses, they need not be unique. But they have to be unique within the same network. Okay, so that's what. So that completes DHCP operation. Okay, so DHCP operation. So what is very important is DORA protocol, DORA interaction. Okay, so discover, then offer. What else? Request, discover, offer, request, and acknowledge. So these are the 4 steps. And what else is important here? Port number. Okay, client port. DHCP client port is 68, DHCP server port is 67, right? And it is based on the BOOTP protocol. And one more disadvantage of BOOTP protocol is, okay, though the server used to assign the diskless nodes the IP address, but so this the corresponding MAC address should be assigned there. Okay, so here it automatically takes it. Okay, in case of DHCP, so everything is automatically taken. Okay, so next we move on to the another interesting technique, that is network address translation. Now, before actually this IPv6 came, so there was a shortage of IP addresses, right? A shortage of IP addresses. IPv4 was there. Okay, this with IPv4, there was a lot of scarcity of IP addresses, right? So this NAT was used as the immediate solution for solving the scarcity of IP addresses. Okay, as I said, see, so in an organization, let us say SDM Engineering College only. So you can have thousands of host machines. You can have thousands of host machines, right? So thousands of host machines, it doesn't mean that they should have thousands of public IP addresses. No, right? So all these thousands of hosts that are there in our college, so they can be assigned private IP addresses using DHCP server. They can be assigned private IP addresses, right? So now all these private IP addresses, so they are connected to a server or a router, let us say, or router. So that router is having some IP address, so which is visible to the outside world, or a server, let us say. So all these host machines are connected to a server. Okay, that server will be having one IP address, so that is public IP address, which is visible to the outside world, right? So whenever these hosts, the internal hosts, okay, which 1,000 hosts which I am talking about, if these hosts, if they want to communicate with the outside world, so what they do, they send the request. So if that request is, see, of course, they normally give. Okay, they again there is a DNS. So based on the URL, the DNS gives the IP address, and that request comes from that particular host, and it comes to the router there. So before it leaves, sorry, the server, let us say, before it leaves the server, so what is the source IP address? So the source IP address is not the IP address of the host machine. So the source IP address will be the IP address of the server, public IP address. Are you getting my point? Are you getting my point? Yes? Assume that there are 1,000 host machines, okay, in an organization, right? All these 1,000 host machines are connected to a server, and that is connected to router, and it's outside world. Now, out of these 1,000 hosts, if they want to communicate to the outside world, so what they do? See, they will not be every host, each of these 1,000 hosts, they will not be aware that, so they have been assigned private IP addresses. So that is everything is hidden. Everything is hidden from the users, right? So what they do, they normally communicate. So they give some URL. Okay. So what that request goes to the server. Request goes to the server. So with the request, that IP address contains the IP address of the this local machine. And then, so now what server does is, server in that packet, it removes the IP address of the host machine, puts its IP address, public IP address, and forwards the request to the outside world. So that request goes to the server, and the server responds, and the response comes back to the server only, because it is a public IP address. Now, what this does, so it has noted its physical address, okay, from which host machine the request has come. So it will forward that response of the server to the corresponding client machine. So this entire process, so the server removing the IP address and putting the public IP address. So these things, entire thing, it is hidden from the users. Is it clear? Is it clear? So I think the diagram, I think he has given here. See, this is what is a NAT device we call. I used to call it a server. So now this is a private network. Okay. So now what happens? So this NAT device, this is the address translation table. Okay. So these are the private IP addresses. So these are the public IP addresses. So these private IP addresses are mapped to the public IP addresses. The C, X, and W. Okay. So these private IP addresses are mapped to the public IP addresses. So along with that, every private IP address with the physical address also, because when the response comes, so the response has to be forwarded to a corresponding client machine. Okay, so this is what is mapped inside this. So every private IP address of the client machines, it is mapped to the public IP address. So 128.100.10.15. So this is the public IP address. So all these are the private IP addresses. All these are the private IP addresses. Is it clear? Any doubts? What is NATing? What are its advantages? So NATing is a technique. That means, so any number of host machines you can have in an organization, okay, all of them, they can be given private IP addresses, but still they are able to communicate to the outside world by the process what is called as NATing. Is that clear? Yes, any doubts? Yes? Any doubts are there, you can ask. Srikar,
Yes, sir.
is it clear?
Yeah, sir. Clear.
Okay. Akshay, Amrita, Dikshita, are you there? Dikshita, Bhavana,
Yes, sir.
who are you, Bhavana or Dikshita? Dikshita,
Dikshita, sir.
Dikshita. So is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. Okay, so after NAT, next we move on to this mobile IP. So this is another interesting topic. Now, see, the thing is, whenever we communicate, see now, one thing you remember, whenever, so what our IP address, okay, the IP address, so it contains two parts. One is network ID and host ID, network ID and host ID. So the network ID, it signifies to which network we are connected, to which network we are connected. Now, when we are on a mobile network, on a mobile device, right? So when I am moving, so now presently I may be connected to this wireless network currently. So now when I am moving, I go away from this network and get connected to another wireless network, right? Another network, right? So like this, so so now even though I moved from this network to that network, but still I should be able to have internet connectivity. I should be able to have internet connectivity. Is it clear? Okay. So that is how actually it is possible. So that is what is mobile IP. That's what is mobile IP. So all of you might have experience. So whenever you are going in a vehicle, right? So but still you have internet connectivity. So that means it is not that you should be restricted. Okay, you can't move. Okay. So even though you are moving, but still you are connected. You are connected. You are connected. So normally we say no. So network follows you. Okay, it is not the network follows you, but you are connected to different networks as you move from one network to another network. So you are connected to different networks. You are connected to different networks. Okay. So so IP address specifies the point of attachment to the internet. Okay. So because network ID is part of the IP address. Network ID is part of the IP address, right? So presently you are connected to the present IP network. So your IP address will be with respect to that network. As you move to the new network, so your IP address also changes. You should be given a different IP address because you are connected to different network. Okay, so you are just moving. Okay, as you move along, so you should be dynamically given different IP addresses depending on to which network you get connected. Okay, so changing IP address involves terminating all connections and sessions. Is it not? So it means, so presently now you are connected to this network, so you are having IP address with this network, right? Now all your transactions, so they are being initiated with respect to your present location. As you are moving, so is it that all your connections should be terminated, all your sessions should be terminated, and a new session establishment has to take place as you move to the next network? No. So there should be continuation of the sessions also. Suppose you have given a request now. So by the time the response comes, you might have moved to a different network, but still the response should come to your location only. Is it clear? So that is what is mobile network, mobile IP. Okay. So this is what happens. Now you just see So this we call it as a home network. So presently, to whichever network you are connected, so that is, so it is a mobile host. Okay, this may be your own normal mobile device. Okay, mobile host. Now this is your home network. Your home network. So all your registration, okay, all your registrations are with respect to this home agent. Okay, so you are registered with this home agent. As long as you are here, so with this home agent, so you are getting the communication, okay, with your mobile. Now, assume that, so this mobile host has moved to this network now. Okay, from home network, the mobile device has moved to foreign network, some other network. Okay, some other network. So here we call it as mobile host 2, just to distinguish. Okay, so this host has moved to this location now, this location. Okay, now what happens, what we expect? Okay, so now any communication that used to happen with this mobile device with using this network, all that communication should happen with this device even though we are in a different network. So how is it possible? How is it possible? Okay, the thing is, whenever this mobile device, mobile host moves to this place, okay, so there is a foreign agent here. There is a foreign agent. So what actually foreign agent does is, the responsibility of the foreign agent is, so see that, so normally you can consider in any network, so there are two agents. One is a home agent, another one is a foreign agent. So home agent, what it maintains in its register, it maintains who are the native hosts of that network. And the foreign agent, what it does, it registers so those mobile hosts who actually belong to different network. So since they are moving, so they have entered into our network. So that is why it's called as foreign agent. So foreign agent keeps track of the foreign hosts, whereas home agent keeps track of the home hosts, right? So any doubts? Okay. Now what happens when this mobile host moves to this network, what happens? It tries to contact this foreign agent. Now after contacting, so it gives its credentials, right? So it gives its IP address and other whatever the things that are required, it gives it. So this foreign agent, what it does is it communicates with this home agent. Are you getting my point? Okay, this foreign agent. So now this mobile device has moved to this network. Okay, so the foreign agent of this network, what it does is, after getting the information from this mobile device, it contacts its corresponding home agent, and it says that, so your mobile host, so is in my network. So whether whatever the credentials that are given by him, are they correct? So it verifies it. Right? If everything is found to be correct, so then this mobile host is given temporary IP address that is called as care of address. Right? So this mobile host, okay, apart from the home IP address, it also gets a temporary IP address. Now with that temporary IP address, what happens? So using that temporary IP address, or what we call it as care of address, so this mobile device will be able to communicate with the outside world. Now normally what happens, see, I think it is next diagram will show that. Now yeah, so let me just go back. Now assume that, so there is one what you can say, there was something called as CA. Yeah, so correspondent host. Okay, correspondent host. Assume that there was some correspondent host. Okay, now one thing we should know. Okay, so this host who was here, so he has moved to this place. Okay, it is not known to others, right? So what happens? Assume that there is one correspondent host, so who wants to communicate with this mobile host. Okay, what he will do, he will send the request. He will send. So now it comes to this host, so this home agent. So now this home agent has come to know through this foreign agent. So what is the present location of this mobile device, right? Now what it does, so it receives the request from the correspondent host and communicates with this mobile device using this foreign agent. Is it clear? Using this foreign agent. So now what happens? The communication between this mobile device and the correspondent host continues. So that is a triangle is established. So here there is a, please see the pointer. So here there is a correspondent host who wants to communicate with this mobile device. Now he doesn't know that the mobile device is here, right? So this correspondent host communicates with this mobile home agent and says, I want to communicate with this mobile host. Now this mobile home agent knows that presently this mobile host is in this network. So what it does, so it establishes the communication with this mobile host using this foreign agent, and gives the details of this correspondent host, right? Now using that information, this mobile device will be able to communicate with this correspondent host. So that triangle is established. So from correspondent host to home agent, so home agent to foreign agent to correspondent host. So that triangle is established, right? Okay, so that is one thing. Now assume that so the correspondent host is also in the same network. Okay, the correspondent host is also in the same network. Okay, so a host who is in the same network. So luckily this mobile host is also in the same network. So the two hosts are in the same network. But so this mobile host, the correspondent host, doesn't know that this mobile host is here. So he wants to communicate with this mobile host. So what happens? So the request from this correspondent host goes to this home agent. Then home agent forwards that request to this foreign agent. Now this mobile host, it establishes. Okay, that means so there is a dual connection that is established all the way from this network to this network, again this network to this network. Okay, so now this can be optimized. Okay, this can be very well optimized because this foreign agent will be having this information using this, so they can directly communicate. So that is what is optimization. Is the process clear? See here, now this foreign network, okay, now you just, that is the first step. Okay, so this is what I was telling you. So there is a correspondent host, so who wants to communicate with this mobile host, so this mobile host used to be in this network, this is the home network. Okay, so the request from this correspondent host goes to this home agent, so from this home agent it goes to this foreign agent. So there is, through this foreign agent, okay, using this foreign network, that request goes to this mobile host. So then the mobile host will communicate through this one foreign agent. So it starts communicate with this correspondent agent. Okay, is it clear? Yes, any doubts? Yes, any doubts?
It is clear,
Just
sir.
okay, fine. Okay, so let me just see. Okay, how actually this thing happens? Okay, now you just see that is what is called as encapsulation. Okay, so this home agent uses IP to IP encapsulation. Okay, IP to IP encapsulation. So if you just see here, so this home agent receives the request. Okay, receives the request from this host. So now what it does is it encapsulates, okay, this request. It should, because it has to go through different network, it encapsulates with the outer IP header. Okay, so home agent uses IP to IP encapsulation. So IP packet has mobile host IP address. Okay, so the outer IP address, outer IP header has home agent's address at the source. Okay, so this home agent address at the source, what it does, So I think I don't know whether you have followed it or not. Now what happens? Sorry. Yeah. Now this correspondent host wants to communicate with this. So it contains the IP address of this mobile host. Now what it does is this home agent will encapsulate that packet with its IP address. Okay, putting its IP address. That's what is the outer IP header. Okay, and it goes here. So then it is unwrapped. It is unwrapped, and so this foreign agent will give that unwrapped inside packet to this mobile host. So this mobile host will come to know who wants to communicate with me. So then it directly communicates with this correspondent host. Okay, so that's what happens here. So this is IP header. This IP address header contains the address of the correspondent host and the mobile host. Okay, so then what this home agent does is, so it encapsulates with the outer IP header. So what is the outer IP header? Outer IP header contains home agent's address, at the source. Okay, it encapsulates that. So this encapsulated thing, so it is IP to IP encapsulation. Okay, so it goes to the foreign agent. So there it is unwrapped. So once it is unwrapped, so this IP header and the payload that is delivered to the home agent. So this IP header contains the source IP address and the destination IP address. So that is, so with that, so the mobile host will come to know who wants to communicate with it. Okay, so I think, yeah, the same thing. So this is what is route optimization. If the correspondent host, okay, if it is also in the same network, so then what happens? See here, where is one? So 2B. So one, if the request goes, okay, the request goes from correspondent host to this home agent. So now home agent will directly inform, okay, because since now this home agent knows that, so mobile host is also in the same network, it directly informs the correspondent host that, so the mobile host is in your same network. Okay, so then the communication starts with it. Okay, so that is what is route optimization. That's what is route optimization. Okay, so informing to the foreign agent that the mobile host is also in the same network. Mobile host as well as correspondent host. So they are in the same network. So the communication can take place within the same network, right? So that is what is route optimization. What is optimization here? What we are reducing? So if the correspondent host and mobile host are in the same network, okay, so they can directly establish the communication. So that is what is route optimization. Okay, so it is here the concept of tunneling is used. So tunneling is what? Nothing but it is encapsulation. So I hope I'm clear. So this is the last topic, right? So tomorrow I think we will start with the multicast network, multicast communication. So any doubts? So in the three things that we have seen, one is DHCP, then NAT, then mobile IP. Any doubts in these three?